A Navajo Park Ranger is responsible for protecting and preserving natural and cultural resources in Navajo Nation Parks. Some of the specific duties and responsibilities of a Navajo Park Ranger may include patrolling and monitoring park areas to ensure the safety of visitors, park resources, and wildlife. Provide interpretive services, including educating visitors about the park's cultural and natural resources and history. Maintain and repair park facilities, including trails, picnic areas, and campsites. Interestingly, in recent years, officers have reported seeing strange things in the Navajo Reservation of the American Southwest. This location is known for mysterious and legendary stories, and although many officers don't like to talk about their encounters, some have come forward in recent years and shared some of the things that they've witnessed. This location is known for mysterious and legendary stories, and although many officers don't like to talk about their encounters, some have come forward in recent years and shared some of the things that they've witnessed. Located southeast of Ballard, Utah, is a property that has become synonymous in the coming years as being a gateway into another world, being filled with impossible-to-explain occurrences and supernatural encounters. The property has been given the nickname of the Skinwalker Ranch, given the sheer number of encounters over the past few years that seem to only be growing in oddity. Interestingly, the entire area surrounding Utah and the Navajo Nation has allegedly been home to mysterious creatures, with farmers and landowners coming forward with their stories that detail encountering creatures that seem to have the ability to defy all logic, which in turn has caused them to be pushed out of their homes in fear that something might happen to them. One of the issues is that when police officers report these types of encounters, they are usually mocked by the general public. However, the police in Navajo Nation have a different view on things, and they take these sightings and encounters seriously, and will try to look into and understand each report, noting that eyewitnesses are certain that they are seeing something strange, with the officers saying that legends are deeply rooted in the region's history and should be taken seriously. The Navajo Nation Police Department have said that they encourage people to come forward with their encounters, and say that each person's encounter will be taken seriously. One Navajo Ranger detailed reports of strange dog-like creatures that have been encountered throughout the region, and noted that they have the ability to run at extremely fast speeds, going on to say that they closely match the appearance of a humanoid dog. One Navajo Ranger opened up about some of the things that they've witnessed while being on duty, and said that on one occasion while driving through Crown Point, he could see a mysterious creature chasing his car. He said that he slowed down in order to get a better look at what it was, thinking that it may have been an animal that was injured. However, he quickly realized that he was driving at 30 miles per hour and noted that this creature was able to keep up with him. The ranger said that when he looked in his rearview mirror, he could see that this creature looked like a giant dog, saying that it ran to the passenger's side and bumped the car. At this point, he pulled to the right so he could get a better look at it, and the only way he could describe it was that it looked like a giant wolf. After this, he said he pulled to the side and then slammed his foot on the brake, which caused the creature to run in front of his car, at which point he then switched on the full beams in order to get a better look at it. After the creature was lit up with the headlights, the ranger estimated that the creature must have been around 6 feet in length. The ranger ended his story by saying that the creature only stayed within the full beams for a matter of seconds before it quickly ran off. To this day, he has no idea what this thing was, and said that if he had to describe the creature, he said that it looked like a mix between a wolf and a man. All across the United States, there are detailed witness accounts that tell consistent stories of impossible-to-explain humanoid dog-like creatures known as skinwalkers, that demonstrate abilities that make the creatures far more supernatural than anything else on Earth. Many encounters are described as being terrifying attacks, whereas others detail origins of an almost otherworldly nature. Where do these creatures come from, and what do they want? Described as being a more than 7-foot-tall humanoid dog-like creature with the antlers of deer, the face of a wolf, 2 jointed legs and large claws located on each hand, stories of the skinwalker found across North America have been cited as originating more than several thousand years ago from legends as old as humanity can remember. Native American tribes, regardless of differing religious beliefs and origins, tell consistent tales of the skinwalker and its dealings. It is from old Navajo legends that the majority of the information surrounding skinwalkers is known. According to the Navajo tribe, When a tribal member committed a social or unforgivable crime, all of the tribal members would come together and begin to perform a cursing ritual on the guilty tribal member before banishing the member from the tribe forever. Alone and cursed, it was believed that the banished tribal members would undergo animalistic transformations whenever their insatiable desires began to take control, changing them into a humanoid dog-like monster. Other origin stories surrounding the creature claim that, rather than the skinwalker being a banished or cursed individual, the creature is that of a solitary witch or sorcerer that mastered the ability to perform black magic and is capable of shape-shifting into different creatures. It performs this act by gathering the hide of an animal and wearing it over itself, allowing the sorcerer to take on a humanoid mutated form of the creature that continues to walk on its hind legs. It is due to these tales of shape-shifting, transformation, curses, and humanoid mutated forms that many researchers have made the comparison between the skinwalker and legends of the werewolf from old European tales. Could this mean that the skinwalker, once thought to only inhabit the Americas, made its way to the rest of the world? In an effort to tie this creature with even more modern-day sightings, stories of the Dogman Beast, a creature that is commonly seen as being derivative of the werewolf legends of the recent past, seems to contain direct links to that of the skinwalker. In areas where skinwalker reportings are common, Dogman sightings are recorded and known to occur just as frequently. Oddly enough, a continuous number of reports surrounding that of dogmen and werewolf-like creatures seem to come from that of the state of Utah, the state in which the Skinwalker Ranch resides. Additionally, both creatures have the uncanny ability to mimic both human voices alongside animal sounds, with stories that dogman encounters and skinwalker encounters led witnesses into hearing their own voice or a friend's voice repeated to them in perfect cadence and pitch. Similar to the stories in which the Navajo told of the witch being able to take the form of other animals, it appears that the skinwalker sightings have been paired with other strange humanoid animal hybrids all across North America. If we accept that the stories of strange humanoid creatures across North America are, in fact, encounters with the skinwalker, what could this tell us about the species and its abilities? According to the National Institute for Discovery Science investigators, the private scientific research team deployed at the Skinwalker Ranch during its 20-year joint investigation for Bigelow Aerospace and the United States government's Department of Defense, the skinwalker could very well be an interdimensional creature that hops between universes and uses hidden portals found within the mountains, forests, and national parks of our country as entry and exit points into our world. National Institute for Discovery Science researchers claim that while positioned on a ridge overlooking the area, the team began to notice what they described as a hovering ball of white light through night vision goggles pointed towards one of the middle homesteads of the property. As it hovered about 4 feet off the ground, the witnesses claim that the white ball of light began to open up into an estimated 3-foot-wide circular portal. However, on the night vision goggles, a device that can detect and measure near-infrared and ultraviolet radiation, the portal appeared to be more like a 3-dimensional tunnel hovering above the ground. The researchers then described that an 8-foot-tall, completely black, humanoid creature slowly began to crawl out of the 3-dimensional tunnel, elbowing its way through the portal. The creature then grabbed the edges of the tunnel, pulled itself through and dropped down 4 feet before running out into the darkness, out of the sight of the researchers watching. Shortly thereafter, the portal began to close in on itself, forming a bright white ball of light before fading in intensity and disappearing entirely. Taking into account this strange sighting and encounter witnessed by the investigators, could this mean that the skinwalker creature is in fact an interdimensional species that continues to invade our world via the use of self-creating wormholes? If wormholes could in fact be created by the creatures, Einstein had once theorized that due to the nature of the universe as a fabric of space and time, a wormhole could theoretically do more than just connect 2 points of space in a universe and could also connect 2 points in time. According to the reports, there appears to be a substantial amount of evidence for strange connections between the distant past and present across the Skinwalker Ranch. One such story is told surrounding a massive wolf that had been spotted on the Skinwalker Ranch property. The first weekend that the Gorman family inhabited the property, they noticed what they believed to have been a large canine roaming their property nearby their cattle pen. According to the father and eldest son, The canine displayed no signs of aggression whatsoever and was merely sniffing the ground and slowly walking along the open field before approaching the nearby cattle pen where the Gorman family was standing. Most likely, a little curious as to the creature, a cow approached the large wolf-like canine from behind the fence. Almost in an immediate switch in personality, the wolf reached into the fence with its jaws and clamped onto the face of the cow, trying to pull it through the fence while growling. In an attempt to save their cattle, the eldest son of the Gorman family, Terry Gorman, along with his father, ran up to the wolf-like canine creature and began beating it with large sticks to scare it away, a common tactic used against coyotes, foxes and wolves trying to get their jaws on livestock prey. However, as the two men began beating the wolf, the creature never flinched and seemed to have been unaffected by the strikes, continuing to clamp down on the muzzle of the cow. Fearing for his cattle, the father of the Gorman family told his son to go into the house and grab a revolver so that he could take out the wolf. When the son came back out, the father immediately took aim at the wolf and fired 4 times, noting that he did this from increasingly close range starting from only a few feet away. On the 4th shot, the wolf released the calf, but demonstrated no signs of pain and had no visible wounds or bleeding, and began staring at the 2 men in the pen with a curious look. In fear for their life, the son ran inside and grabbed a rifle for his father, who then let off another round into the creature at about 20 feet, but noticed there wasn't even a slight recoil from the animal, and that it didn't let out any yelps of pain. As the father continued to fire, the wolf slowly began walking away down the field. The father and son immediately began chasing the wolf to make sure it would be brought down before it could hurt anyone else, and found its tracks crossing the field and towards a small creek. However, as they continued following the creature's tracks, they found that the footprints suddenly disappeared with no sign of it having left the muddy area it walked into. When the researchers later questioned the 2 men as to the species of the wolf or canine, providing a number of different pictures of local wildlife, the Gorman family pointed at one specific picture, claiming that the creature in the image was exactly what they saw with 100% certainty. The researchers, puzzled by the image, then alerted the family that it was not possible for the wolf they identified to have been the creature they spotted, as the wolf in the picture was a dire wolf, a species that had gone extinct across North America more than 10,000 years ago. Could this sighting with a dire wolf be evidence that portals even to the distant past are connected with the Skinwalker Ranch? A portal that allowed an extinct species of dire wolf to suddenly appear and then disappear 10,000 years after its extinction? Until more information can be gathered, the portal theory surrounding the origins of the strange happenings on the Skinwalker Ranch remains only a theory. A worker for the Washington State Department of Transportation noticed something moving on one of their cameras. As they zoomed in, they said they could see what appeared to be a large human walking next to one of the trees, saying that it was much larger than a standard human. They then put out a post on social media, asking if any hikers had seen anything in the area, and requested that people be on the lookout. The Washington State Department of Transportation said that it's not a cardboard cutout and it hasn't been photoshopped. The worker said that they've never been up to the camera and that it's an area that doesn't often get visited by hikers. Some suggested that the photographs show a real humanoid creature, while others said that it could be the outline of a tree that's causing an illusion. However, the worker said this wasn't the case. As of right now, whatever this thing was moved on, as there was no other update from the Washington State Department of Transportation. Oddly enough, this isn't the first time that workers have encountered mysterious humanoids, and go on to detail that every so often one of these creatures will show up, leaving those who see it confused. All across North America are reported sightings of the Sasquatch creature, a massive bipedal humanoid giant covered in hair from head to toe, and commonly encountered within or nearby the untamed woods and landscapes found all across the United States and Canada. Oddly enough, not every state or local area across North America refers to the creature as Sasquatch. More commonly, local legends will feature similar descriptions of the creature, but with slight variations in its design alongside differing names. One of the most interesting sightings features a Floridian creature known as the skunk ape, a legendary giant native to the wetlands and swampy state parks, with reports going back several centuries. Located on the border of the state of Florida and Georgia is a 438-acre swampland that stretches across the state borders and houses a wide variety of undiscovered animal and insect species. This peat-filled wetland, referred to as the Okefenokee Swamp, has been at the center of several encounters with the skunk ape creature and is often believed to be the last unexplored refuge of the creatures in the modern day. Even more interesting, the name Okefenokee is a native Creek Indian word that roughly translates to mean the land of the trembling earth and seems to reference a massive creature that's known for shaking the earth as it walks. The oldest known skunk ape encounter to have occurred within the Okefenokee Swamp was reported back during the winter of 1828. According to the report made by 2 eyewitnesses, both of which were amateur hunters who were looking to explore the surrounding area, the 2 men came across what they referred to as a giant. Originally, their expedition began as a short hunting party, but rather than turn back at the height of their excitement, the 2 men's trip continued for another several weeks as they traveled deeper into the swamp, recording brief encounters with bears, panthers, alligators, and overgrown snakes. Roughly 3 weeks into their hunting trip, the men claimed to have heard the sound of loud screaming. However, the screams sounded much deeper and louder than a man could naturally produce. As they glanced around the woods surrounding their camp to investigate the source of the noise, the men then heard what they described as the sound of heavy stomping, as if a large creature was running through the woods surrounding their camp. Unsure of whether or not the creature was a large wild animal or a distressed man, the 2 hunters decided to light a fire and stay within the proximity of their makeshift camp until daylight, as the day was soon ending and darkness was fast approaching. Despite the roaring fire to help keep the nearby woods illuminated, the men complained that they were unable to sleep due to the strange sounds they continued to hear, despite no creature being visible anywhere near their location. Additionally, it became necessary to gather nearby scraps of wood to keep the fire burning, and so the men were forced to venture slightly more and more into the surrounding darkness to maintain their light source. By the next morning, the men investigated the nearby woods and wetlands, hoping to find any evidence of a creature having prowled their camp the night prior. After a few hours of looking, the men claimed that they came across several barefoot human-looking footprints that would have been impossible for any normal person to have made. Mostly due to the fact that the footprints were all spaced roughly 6 feet apart and were an estimated 18 inches in length. Worried that the creature might return, the hunters immediately fled the swamp and returned to town. Oddly enough, the story of the encounter with the unknown swamp giant does not end there. Once the 2 hunters returned to the closest town, they told the nearby townspeople of what they had encountered and warned them that a monster might soon attack the town. Fearful of the beast, the town gathered together a hunting party of 9 men to hunt down the beast and take it out before it could attack the town. Gathered together, the men went into the swamp and traveled as far down as its southernmost part, now located in the state of Florida. After several days of searching the area, the men located sets of footprints far too large for any normal man to have created and used the footprints as a trail guiding them directly to the giant. As the men began following the footprints, they noticed that they were often spaced increasingly further apart, sometimes disappearing completely and reappearing elsewhere in the swamps, as if the creature climbed and jumped between trees for traveling. Before long, the trail was completely lost, and the 9 men decided to make camp for the night and begin their search again at daybreak. Unfortunately for the band of men, during the night, the creature would invade the camp and attack the hunters in a fit of rage. According to the 9 witnesses, a massive humanoid creature covered in hair all over its body suddenly ran straight through the camp, toppling over several tents, and began tearing apart the equipment and supplies of the traveling men. Fearing for their lives, the men grabbed their weapons and fired at the creature, causing the giant to retaliate by overpowering the men and defeating 5 members of the party, tossing their limp bodies several feet as if they weighed next to nothing. The remaining 4 members continued firing at the creature, sending several rounds of bullets through its chest before the creature fell down in a low grumble and passed away shortly after. After closer examination of the giant's body, the men estimated the humanoid creature to have been slightly over 13 feet in height, and appeared to look exactly like a man with the exception of its tremendous size and full body covering of hair. However, while observing the body, the men continued to hear the sound of screaming in the surrounding woods, similar to what the two hunters had experienced on their journey several days prior. Believing that the screaming could be coming from a dozen more of the giant creatures, the men packed up their equipment and began moving out of the swamp during the night, unable to wait until morning out of fear that a retaliatory attack would take place if they continued to stay. Once the four men returned to the nearest town, they told the townspeople what happened to the 5 other men who were attacked, and that they estimated that a dozen more of the giant creatures were still out there in the nearby swamps. Fearing that an attack would eventually reach the town, the men began traveling throughout the area and warning people of an impending attack from giants. On the 1st of January, 1829, a local reporter would interview the men and retell their story for local publishing. By February of that year, less than 30 days after the original publication, reprinting of the story spread to neighboring communities and would see a February issue published in the Connecticut newspaper, warning traveling parties to stay clear of the Okefenokee swamp. Although continued sightings would be made of the giant humanoid creatures in the surrounding areas, later referred to as skunk apes, no violent attack was made over the following years. After a few decades, the sensationalism of the story eventually settled down and became nothing more than a local legend. To this day, travelers are still warned of the Okefenokee swamp giants when traveling through the region. Back in 2023, emergency services were able to locate and rescue a teenager with special needs who had gone missing in the woods in Cherokee County, North Carolina. The rescue was made possible through the use of an image captured by a drone, which assisted in pinpointing the teenager's location. The drone image provided vital information. The Hiwassee Dam Fire Department recently reported that a missing boy was found thanks to the deployment of drones that were equipped with advanced infrared technology. Through the use of the drone's sensors, the boy's body heat was detected, and this provided crucial information to assist the search efforts of those who were on foot. Ultimately, this enabled the search party to locate the missing teen in a timely manner. After analyzing the data collected by one of its drones, the department reported that a heat signature was detected, which upon further zooming appeared to be a human body lying in the fetal position. This discovery has raised concerns about the safety and security of the area, and the authorities are investigating the incident. The department reported that after detecting the heat signature of the missing individual with a Hamilton County drone, GPS coordinates were marked, and rescue personnel were dispatched to the location. The rescue team successfully saved the boy, and he was reunited with his family. This highlights the importance of using advanced technology. According to Chad McNabb, who is the chief of Hiwassee Dam Fire Department, the use of drone cameras during a rescue mission was crucial in locating a missing boy within a short period of time. This new technology proved to be very effective in reducing the amount of manpower required for the mission. By using the drone cameras, the rescue team was able to locate the boy quickly and efficiently. This helped to minimize the time and resources needed. McNabb mentioned that in the absence of drone cameras, emergency services would have had to conduct grid searches by deploying a large number of people to search the woods, and then wait for someone to accidentally come across the missing individual. This would have been a time-consuming and risky task, since the chances of finding the missing person would have been uncertain. The Hiwassee Dam Fire Department said the following: "Words cannot express how we feel right now. After a long ground search, the young man was found in good shape. Thanks to all of our members. Over a year ago, Hiwassee Dam FD joined the Tri-State Mutual Aid Association, which is based around the Chattanooga metro area. Tonight is the first time we have called on them. They dispatched Hamilton County Emergency Management with their drones. They responded from Chattanooga and immediately started flying. Their 2 drones and West Polk's drone flew grid patterns for 2 hours. One of the Hamilton County drones picked up a heat signature. Once he was able to zoom, the signature appeared to be someone lying in the fetal position. He was able to mark the GPS coordinates and lead ground searchers to the missing juvenile. He was then carried out of the woods and turned over to Cherokee County EMS medics for evaluation. Thank you to all who responded. Once again, training and great relationships with mutual aid partners led to a successful mission. On another note, if you view these pictures, we live in a beautiful part of the country. The first picture is the drone image of the person. Thermal drone finds missing woman in seconds. While we have already seen that drones are able to find and locate people, this next case shows just how impressive this technology can be, with a missing woman being located in just a matter of seconds. In November 2021, a woman in the UK was missing. It was dark, cold, and raining, a terrifying situation for anybody. According to the Nottinghamshire police, the problem was soon on its way to being solved. There were welfare concerns for the woman, with her having been reported missing and only having a rough idea of a location where she might have been: the Belvoir Castle region. Time was of the essence. Nottinghamshire police explained how searching traditionally on foot could have taken hours to begin to locate her, though a drone was able to find her within a matter of seconds following takeoff, thanks to the use of its thermal imaging camera. 2 officers were then immediately sent to help the woman, rushing towards her within mere seconds. She had been found by the edge of a field, and fortunately she did not seem to have any serious injuries, though was treated by paramedics. In total darkness, a team of officers were able to find a vulnerable woman on a cold, wet night in a large space and safely find her. Usually, the drone team within this police department is deployed to try and search for criminal offenders, help to collect evidence, and search for missing people. The range of uses for drones to help in crime and law are vast and wide. The drone that found the lost hiking family in Florida. Perhaps rightfully so, traveling, hiking, or engaging in any activity with family can often give us a sense of safety. It can give us the sense that even if something goes wrong, there are people around us that can help out and bring us to safety. However, that feeling quickly faded for a family of hikers in Florida when they realized that they were entirely unprepared to continue their hike within the large confines of an almost 2,000 square mile nature preserve. Their leisurely hike in the area turned into a frightening situation, and it was only with the help of a drone that they were found and returned to safety and water. The family had set out into the Blackwater Creek Preserve with the aim to hike and spend some time in nature before they swiftly got lost. The Blackwater Creek Preserve is a conservation area in northeast Hillsborough County, very close to Plant City. The nature reserve offers about 6 miles of hiking ground, with lots of sunny, grassy trails winding through the vast trees and pine flatwoods overlooking the creek. As it turned out, the family might not have been lost. Desiree Rodriguez stated that they were dehydrated and had 4 little girls with us on our first time in this place, and that due to the large perimeters of the preserve that they had not expected, an outpouring of support for rescue services and relief for the family's safety was shown in response to the Facebook post. In any case, a drone was sent out after them and found them quickly enough, with the aircraft successfully assisting the deputies and dispatchers find the family's exact location. An 11-minute-long video capturing the footage of this rescue shows the family waiting under the shade of a very large tree. This footage was shared by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, which oversaw the rescue of the family. It also shows a truck making its way toward them to pick them up and take them back to safety. Regardless of whether they were lost or simply unprepared for the hike, it was a relief that the drones were able to locate them. The drone that found a missing man in the marshes. When a person is already quite old and frail, the thought of getting lost in a large area is frightening and even oftentimes dangerous. A man by the name of Peter Pugh, who was 75 years old, disappeared during an evening out with friends and family as the large group was walking together. Mr. Pugh, the chairman of a publishing company called Icon Books and an author of more than 50 books, had been out on a walk at around 5 in the afternoon when he was accidentally separated from the rest of the group. A huge team of people consisting of about 50 individuals set out in search of him, but it was not until a drone was involved that the man was found. The Norfolk Police, assisted by HM Coast Guard, RNLI Hunstanton and RNLI Wells lifeboat and Norfolk, Lowland and Search Service started their searches from late that afternoon, and this went on throughout the night all the way until the next day, on June 17, 2018. At about 2:30 the next day, 20 hours later, a drone owned by the Norfolk Police and controlled by Sergeant Danny Leach finally discovered Mr. Pugh stuck in a dense bed of reeds and marshland. Having found him there, the sergeant was able to then guide a team of searchers from the HM Coast Guard and Norfolk Fire and Rescue to Mr. Pugh. The team was then able to rescue him, pulling him from the deep and muddy creeks and consequently providing him with first aid until the Coast Guard sent a rescue helicopter to winch him out. He was taken to Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Kings Lynn, where he was treated for hypothermia. After spending an entire night in the marshes, it could have turned out a lot worse. Mr. Pugh, while recovering from his stay in hospital, told reporters that he didn't remember anything from that night. He thanks all the rescuers and stated that he was so fortunate to have been found when he was. His wife also added that he was doing much better, sleeping a bunch, and was recovering from slashes from reeds at his knees. She described his injuries as looking like raw meat, but stated that her husband was a tough old bird and would be just fine. Sergeant Alex Butcher, who was involved in the rescue and helped to coordinate the search operation, confirmed that it would have been nearly impossible to find Mr. Pugh as quickly as they had without the drone. He stated that drones help searchers to search areas that are difficult to access and within a close range, where helicopters and other flying technologies may not be able to reach. But what do you make of these recent discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.